morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Powell. I'm the director of the Real Institute Elcano Royal Institute, Spain's leading international relations think tank. And we are very honored and fortunate to have with us today Majlinda Bregu, who is the Secretary General of the Regional Cooperation Council. Good morning, and thank you very much for being with us.
Buenos días and good morning to you.
Buenos días. So let me first of all ask you about the institution that you represent. When was it established? What are its goals? And what does it try to contribute to the process of European integration?
The Regional Cooperation Council is born 15 years ago. It is the successor of the Stability Pact. You'll remember the times after the war in former Yugoslavia and the war in Bosnia, when the great idea just came into life that now that the countries will have to live peacefully after a war, let's think more about how to make them cooperate closer with each other. And at that time, the Stability Pact turned into the Regional Cooperation Council, which is the organization that I'm leading since the last 5 years, based with headquarters in Sarajevo, that tries to promote, facilitates, and works on strengthening the cooperation among the 13 countries of Southeast Europe. And during the last, let's say, 6 years, or since when the Berlin process started, with a deep focus and a closer focus on the Western Balkans.
Mm-hmm. And what are the main obstacles to deeper cooperation? And presumably all of these countries wish to live in under a democratic form of government. Many of them hope to join the European Union sooner rather than later. So what are the big obstacles, do you think? History?
Not really the legacies of the past.
Mm-hmm.
The countries of the Western Balkans especially have been living in different times of history, although there is a region quite rich in culture and in diversity.
Mm-hmm.
But the legacies of the past, the war and the nationalism are one of those issues that still quite dominate the agendas of the regional cooperation. But I have to say that during the last years, the process of the cooperation has been more steady
mm-hmm.
and present in the region. So if one is going to look back and make a comparison, fast forwarding with 10 years ago, the Western Balkans economies are working and cooperating closely with each other in terms of economic development, in terms of strengthening and deepening their economic integration among themselves, but as well as in trying to work closely in maintaining a spirit of good neighborhood relations. However, there is always a comma on that. There are present all those, let's say, spikes of conflicts that time after time arise in the region. We know that that is quite worrisome, the dialogue or the lack of proper dialogue of Belgrade and Pristina. The situation in Bosnia-Herzegovina has always been a matter of concern, and time after time as well, some bilateral disputes between any of the countries of the region and an EU member state. Years ago, you might recall, it was North Macedonia, that time not even called North Macedonia, with Greece, and then afterwards it changed its name in the North Macedonia, and then it came now, let's say, in a dispute, historical one again, with Bulgaria. But both and all the countries of the region trying to find their way and to stay keen on their European perspective.
And what specifically can the Council do to improve relations between these different states to try to overcome this rather difficult historical legacy?
We try to induce that level of cooperation that comes out of necessity. It's like the same formula that was placed when the European coal and steel community was created. Mm-hmm. So the basis of the European Union. That the countries who face the conflict, a war conflict, will pave the way to peace and normalization if the economic development among themselves, if partnership among business community is going to be bigger and deeper and stronger. So the whole Western Balkans are working in a process of trying to build up a model of cooperation based on the economic, social and economic integration. That's why there is a plan in place in there. It's called now Common Regional Market. It resembles the same model of the single market, so trying to join forces to cooperate stronger together in different areas, like the digital area, like trade, like investments, or projects about the youth, the security as well. And in the meantime, always maintaining another parallel of cooperation, trying all together to deepen the relations with the EU. The EU, on the other side, in the region is quite involved in the process of the Europeanization or European integration or the geopolitical strategy, as EU itself calls it, the process of enlargement. So that's the focus of our work as well. The Regional Cooperation Council is not only working with these concrete agendas that the countries have developed themselves on how to cooperate among each other, but as well as trying to bring one clear picture and figure of the region, of the necessity of cooperation, of the support that the citizens have on and have shown on the regional cooperation in the process of European integration.
Mm-hmm. So you have been involved in European affairs throughout your life, to some extent. How optimistic are you about the prospects for the next enlargement of the European Union? I think there's room for optimism in the sense that nobody now really questions the fact that we are going to enlarge, but there are probably two big issues that we have to sort out first. The budget. How are we going to pay for this enlargement internally within the existing EU? And secondly, the institutional reforms that need to be carried out to prepare the EU for this next enlargement. Are you, as an Albanian and someone who's been observing this process at very close quarters, are you more optimistic now than you were, say, before the Ukraine, the Russian occupation of Ukraine?
I have to say I was quite optimistic 15 years ago about the process of enlargement. And that time, I had a different duty, so I was the Minister for European Integration from Albania. And if 15 years ago I was asked when Albania is going to be a member state, I would have replied twofold. One based on the processes. Albania had the Stabilization Association Agreement at the time that should have lasted 10 years. After that, you were meant to be a member state. That agreement has expired now. We are still there just to open the first chapter of the fundamentals. So the negotiations just started. And the second answer would have been based on the passion, the necessity, the European identity. You asked me on Albania, and I'm answering specifically on Albania now, where Albanians never had a problem with their European identity. So we felt that we are Europeans, commonly Europeans, and we are part of this continent. If I'm going to answer today, if I'm that optimistic about the whole region joining Europe as per process of enlargement, as it is still in place today, based on the treaty, I would say that I'm less optimistic. It would be great to see an enlargement of European Union and the membership of the countries of the region. We all know it's a merit-based one. It would be great as well if I would like to enlarge my thought now, to have Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, or the 10 of Eastern Partnership, or the 10 countries that the EU Commission has proposed just a few weeks ago, to have the clear prospect of EU membership in the near future. It will be great to reach the target that the President of the EU Council mentioned, 2030. But I have to say that I'm quite cautious in trying to spell it out and first convince myself or digest it within me and then let it know to others. So I think time has come to think vigorously on the form of the process that we call now enlargement, but that might be, as the Timothy Garrett Ashton told when he was in Tirana a week ago, it might be a homecoming.
He was here last week.
It might be a homecoming, so not only enlargement. And that might be maybe the right term from now on. The Western Balkans are part of the European continent. This is true. In times of war, like the war in Ukraine, and under the spike of the shake that all the world is facing, it's quite important to get the lesson that no one, and especially Europe, who has all the leverage it needs in the Balkans, has to lose any leverage or any piece of land. It's this continent's piece of land. How that will happen, if the enlargement or the process is going to move ahead based on the negotiating chapters that might take even 120 and some years to any of the countries of the Western Balkans to join EU, or shall we prospect, look forward, ask for something else, try to fight for a different accession process, or at least different stages, like entrance into the single market. Once a country merits that, then 4 freedoms and entrance into the single market. A place in the table where the economic integration can be enhanced more and deeper. Most probably, this is going to be the new way of enlargement. Even if not spoken out so directly or not spelled, let's say, so openly in all the speeches, but I still think that the reality is calling for a more pragmatic approach.
Mm-hmm. I certainly agree with you. And as you know, Spain has always been supportive of enlargement, and I think quite genuinely so. You know, we're not hiding behind other countries because we genuinely believe that accession to the EU would be as good for Albania and the other countries in the Western Balkans.
But as you said, it's going to be a hard one, while trying to combine and just try to push for both parallels to move together. The widening of Europe and the deepening of Europe itself. Mm-hmm. The reform of the EU institutions does not take 2, 3, or 4 years. And with the new shape of developments in the European member states, next year elections will happen here. So it's going to be hard, and we are listening and getting news every day of political forces winning in different EU countries that might even make the process of deepening of the EU institutions or changing or modernizing the EU institutions harder. Plus those problems that are worldwide, and the mantra or the global, let's say, stay at the global, the main title of the problems worldwide, like the migration and now the war in Gaza.
And what would you like Spain to do in particular, since you are here in Madrid? Do you have any specific asks from Spanish authorities or Spanish civil society?
I was here a year ago as well at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So, and that time we were discussing about the Spain membership at the organization that I lead at the RCC. This looks like quite a small family affair, but in an organization where more than 47 countries are members from all over Europe, United States as well, or Canada, or the Nordic countries. I think it's high time for Spain as well to be a member. Why I'm saying that? It's not because it's going to enhance or increase the number of the participants at one organization. So this is small talk. But because I still believe that in diversity, there is always a necessity to listen, fight for, and try as well to find that niche of unity or commonship that is quite important not only for the countries of the Western Balkans and Southeast. As I said, we keep a deep focus on the Western Balkans, but Southeast is much bigger than that. In Southeast is Turkey. In Southeast there are member state countries. In Southeast is Moldova now. Mm-hmm. And I'm just coming from Chisinau as well. And Moldova is at the spotlight now because of the effect of the war in Ukraine. So there are a lot of reasons as well for Spain to be like involved deeper in the Western Balkans. And again, youngsters move everywhere now. The mobility is one of their rights. The people from the Western Balkans that have always been waiting in a prolonged process of EU membership might become member states even prior to the decision of the EU Council. I mean physically, individually, by migrating, by leaving, voting with their feet. So it's always smart to be there and know the realities of the countries that, as I said, are not a different continent, are part of this continent of Europe.
Well, I'm afraid our time has run out. Thank you so much for your thoughts and for sharing these ideas with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome to Spain, and we wish you and your council all the best in the future.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
Thank you.